The nation's capital is in crisis. Washington, D.C., once the symbol of American power and democracy, is now grappling with the surge in violent crime, political turmoil, and an uncertain future. D.C.'s unique status as a federal district is creating a perfect storm of challenges, from housing affordability to political representation. As we settle our nerves from this latest presidential election, the fate of D.C. hangs in the balance. Will this next administration address the city's pressing issues, or will the capital continue its downward spiral? From Trump's law and order approach to Harris's urban policy vision with Biden, the stakes couldn't be higher. Washington, D.C. is situated in a topographic bowl along the Potomac River, covering an area of 68.3 square miles. The city's layout, designed by Pierre L'Enfant in 1971, features wide avenues radiating from circles, providing space for many of the iconic monuments we associate with the capital. The Potomac River, once envisioned as a major commercial artery, plays a crucial role in the city's geography and history. While it didn't become the bustling port early planners imagined, the river remains an important part of DC's landscape. In recent years, there's been a revitalization of the waterfront areas. The Wharf, a $2.5 billion development project, has transformed the southwest waterfront into a vibrant, mixed-use neighborhood with restaurants, shops, and entertainment venues. DC's skyline is dominated by monuments that pay tribute to the nation's history. The Washington Monument, standing at 555 feet, offers panoramic views of the city. The Lincoln Memorial, Jefferson Memorial, and the more recent Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial are just a few of the iconic structures that draw millions of visitors each year. Contrary to some narratives, recent census data shows that DC is experiencing population growth. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, DC's population grew by 8,023 people from July 1st, 2022 to July 1st, 2023, reaching 678,972 residents. This 1.2% increase ranks DC 7th amongst all states in terms of population percentage growth. To put this in perspective, while DC grew by 1.2%, neighboring states like Maryland and Virginia saw more modest growth rates of 0.4% and 0.3% respectively in the same period. This suggests that DC is outpacing its immediate neighbors in terms of population growth. So what's behind this mass exodus? Well, it's a perfect storm of factors. If this video analysis helpful and informative, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments, what do you think are the most pressing issues facing DC today? Okay, cool. You're subscribed. Let's get back to the video. The pandemic, of course, played a significant role. When you can work from anywhere, why deal with DC's notoriously high cost of living? But it's not just about remote work. The city is grappling with a surge in crime that's making national headlines. Homicides have skyrocketed, and residents are increasingly worried about carjackings and assaults. A recent poll found that 62% of DC residents consider crime to be an extremely or very serious problem. DC is grappling with serious crime issues. In 2023, the district experienced 274 homicides, the highest number in 25 years. To contextualize this, Baltimore, a city often associated with high crime rates, recorded 263 homicides in the same year. DC's per capita homicide rate is now higher than that of Chicago. The DC Council is taking action to address these concerns. The recently passed Secure DC Omnibus Amendment Act of 2024 includes over 100 proposals to combat crime. Some key provisions include increasing gun violence penalties, expanding the definition of carjacking, adding punishment for organized retail theft, and allowing police to collect DNA samples before suspects are convicted. These measures are not without controversy. For example, the DNA collection provision has raised privacy concerns amongst some council members. The upcoming election could significantly impact how these policies are implemented. Candidates' stances on issues like pretrial detention, police funding, and youth crime prevention will be crucial. For instance, some candidates might push for increased community policing and youth intervention programs, while others might advocate for stricter sentencing and expanded police powers. Washington, D.C.'s political arena is a battleground of legislative paralysis and ideological entrenchment, complicated by its distinctive role as the seat of federal power. The city's governance structure with congressional oversight has created a complex web of competing interests that often leaves local issues unresolved. Mayor Muriel Bowser's tenure has been marred by persistent criticism of policy failures and allegations of favoritism in appointments. Her administration's struggles to address key urban challenges have fueled growing discontent among residents and local stakeholders. Her approval ratings have nosedived, with only 28% of residents approving of her job performance in a recent poll. The D.C. Council, for its part, is entangled in a web of internal conflicts and philosophical disagreements, frequently favoring grandstanding and political theater over meaningful legislative action and practical solutions to the city's pressing problems. The city's push for statehood has become further complicated. While supported by many residents, it's become a political football in Congress, with opponents arguing it's a power grab by Democrats. This ongoing debate has diverted attention and resources from pressing local issues like affordable housing and infrastructure improvements. Moreover, DC's political scene is increasingly influenced by outside interests. Lobbyists and special interest groups wield significant power, often at the expense of ordinary citizens. The revolving door between government positions and lucrative private sector jobs has fostered a culture of self-interest among many local politicians. As the new leadership approaches from the recent 2024 election, the district faces a crisis of leadership. With no clear successor to Bowser and a fractured political landscape, many feel that DC's problems will only worsen regardless of who takes office. The question looms: can anyone navigate the complex web of local and federal interests to effectively govern the nation's capital? Housing affordability and property taxes remain contentious issues in the district. While the median household income in DC is $90,842, significantly higher than the national average, income inequality is stark, with the top 20% of households earning 29 times more than the bottom 20%. The city's single-rate property tax system has come under scrutiny for its regressive nature, as it imposes the same rate on $300,000 homes as on multi-million-dollar properties. This system, coupled with rapid gentrification in historically black neighborhoods, has led to displacement and financial strain for long-term residents. The DC Tax Revision Commission's recent recommendation for a more progressive property tax structure have sparked debate and outrage, highlighting the tensions between raising revenue and maintaining housing affordability in the nation's capital. The Biden-Harris administration's approach to border security and immigration has led to significant challenges and controversies. Since taking office in January 2021, the U.S. has experienced an unprecedented surge in illegal border crossings. According to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection data, there have been over 8.5 million encounters at the southwest border from fiscal year 2021 through fiscal year 2024 year to date, compared to around 3.1 million encounters nationwide from fiscal year 2017 to 2020. This dramatic increase has strained border resources and communities, with cities like New York projecting to spend $12 billion between 2024 and 2025 on services for illegal immigrants. The administration's policies have also raised serious national security concerns. Reports indicate that 99 known or suspected terrorists have been released into American communities. Additionally, the surge in illegal crossings has been accompanied by a rise in fentanyl trafficking across the southern border, contributing to over 100,000 American deaths annually. Former Border Patrol officials have highlighted the increased risk, with Chris Clem, former Chief Patrol Agent for the Yuma sector, noted a significant uptick in apprehensions of individuals on the terrorist screening database. Critics argue that the Biden-Harris administration's actions, including the dismantling of previous border policies and the perceived lax enforcement of immigration laws, have directly contributed to this crisis. The House Committee on Homeland Security's report characterizes the situation as a crisis by design, suggesting that the administration intentionally weakened border security measures. While the administration has taken some recent actions to address the crisis, such as issuing a proclamation to restrict asylum for those crossing the border unlawfully during periods of high encounters. Many argue these steps are insufficient to address the scale of the problem and that more comprehensive reforms and stricter enforcement are necessary. Economic policies will also be a key factor. DC's economy is heavily reliant on the federal government, but there's a growing push to diversify. Candidates' plans for attracting private sector businesses, particularly in tech and innovation, could shape the city's economic future. DC's unemployment rate was 4.8% as of December 2023, higher than the national average of 3.7%. The district's median household income is $90,842, significantly higher than the national median of $69,021. However, again, income equality is stark. The top 20% of households earn 29 times more than the bottom 20%. As we approach the election, voters will need to weigh these complex issues. Will DC continue its population growth trend? Can it effectively address its crime challenges? And how will it balance its traditional role as the seat of government with the need for economic diversification? On the climate front, DC faces significant vulnerabilities. The city's location in a topographic bowl along the Potomac River puts it at risk for flooding, especially as climate change intensifies extreme weather events. Despite ambitious goals set in the Clean Energy DC plan, which aims for carbon neutrality by 2050, progress has been slow. The district's aging infrastructure, particularly in combined sewer systems, struggles to handle increased rainfall, leading to sewage overflows into local waterways. These environmental challenges disproportionately affect low-income neighborhoods, exacerbating existing inequalities. As we've seen, the challenges facing Washington, D.C. are complex and multifaceted. Donald Trump's return to the White House could mean a renewed focus on law and order, potentially leading to increased federal interventions in D.C.'s crime issues. His administration might push for stricter policing policies and potentially challenge D.C.'s status as a sanctuary city. As always, the reality is nuanced and evolving. We'll be keeping a close eye on how things develop, especially now that the elections are finished.